got Canto E Castro, and he's going to be talking. He's the founder of Unstoppable Living, and he's going to be talking about AI in his world. Welcome to the stage, Louis.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's really great to be here. I'm really excited to be able to give you insight into not only my life, but how AI has really taken that to the next level. And I think with most situations, we need to start at the beginning. So a lot of the work that I do in recent times is helping organizations better understand the nuances within disability and the intersections that lie within that, but also how do they cater to their employees who have disabilities. And this is both on a digital as well as a physical landscape. You'd be surprised how many times people say their building is accessible when it isn't. You'd be surprised about how many times people tell me that their bathrooms are built to code, but my PA has to twist and contort himself like he's a Cirque du Soleil performer just to be able to help me relieve myself in the bathroom because it's so small, right? Next slide, please. So I have a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, which is a degenerative neuromuscular condition that has in effect taken away my ability to be independent, solely independent. So what you'll see from the photo on the left is what I call my gremlin phase. I was about 5, 6 years old here, and I'd already been living with my condition for 5.5 years. And what you'll see from my hand that's on the sofa is that my muscles are already starting to emaciate, and I'm starting to lose function. So my hand is bending to the left. And at this stage, I was still able to brush my own teeth, feed myself, do the important things like use a gaming controller and things like that, and being able to write with a pen as well. In the middle, you'll see my surf-induced phase, and at this point, I'm really very dependent on using a manual wheelchair. Growing up in South Africa, we never really had the finances to have a powered chair, so the first 13 years of my life was spent in a manual wheelchair, which was almost like being confined in solitary confinement, because if I wanted to move around, I had to ask someone to do that for me. And if they weren't in the room, it meant I had to wait till they got there. And at this stage, I was struggling to lift my arms, so I was relying a lot more on people assisting me. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see a photo of myself. This is 2 years ago, so 2 years living in the UK, and as you can see, I'm now a full-time power wheelchair user. I have lost most of my function. I can no longer brush my teeth, shave my face, feed myself. I'm really dependent on my carer and my partner. Now, this really is important because without me even realizing it, technology has worked its way into my life and not actually realizing that AI was part of that. Next slide, please. So what you'll see from my career, on the left-hand side, this is my time in South Africa. And to be honest, the circle on the left doesn't have enough room to put all the job roles that I did in South Africa. The infrastructure is not good enough to cater for people with disabilities. The building infrastructure doesn't cater to people with physical needs like myself. So I've had to go to the bathroom with the door open because I can't close the door behind me due to a lack of space. And then what you'll see from the middle is when I transitioned to the UK, and this is where everything changed. I had access to finances, I had access to technology like I've never had before. I ended up in the EDI space, which is where I met Simone, and really starting to have access to technology like the assistive tech that I use, and really taking me on a trajectory and down a rabbit hole that I am not sure I'm ever going to be able to get out of, just because of the benefit it brings to my life. Next slide, please. So, according to the Business Consulting Group report last year, surveying 12,000 people, from 2023 to 2024, 70% of people now believe that AI is a good thing in comparison to 16%. Click, please. We've also seen that 62% of leaders are now starting to adopt AI in the workplace. And I think this has got a lot to do with the role that a leader plays. You're always having to look into the future. What's next for your business? How do you optimize? How do we automate? How do we make things better for everyone? We also see that just the regular users are starting to adopt this technology faster and faster. And it's because of the exposure that people are getting to this technology. And they're actually able to live and breathe the benefit that this can bring to our lives. And then we know that there is massive potential. And I think that we've already seen some great statistics on AI and what can be done with AI. I think the concerns that I have are that very often people think that AI is a solution. AI is not a solution unless we have the human approach to AI. We cannot allow AI to guide what we do. There is so much bias that still exists, as Simone already highlighted. And even for me as a wheelchair user, if you just ask ChatGPT about disability, it's very much the medical model of disability approach, which is focusing on what is wrong with the individual rather than thinking about disability from the social model perspective, whereby we acknowledge that society puts up barriers, not the conditions that we live with. Next slide, please. So this is what I thought I would be able to do going into the big bad world. I thought I was going to take the world by storm and be able to work as efficiently as my colleagues and be able to keep up with the pace. But the reality is, click please, again, this is how I typed in South Africa. I didn't have a choice. This was all I was capable of. And what this meant was I had to find other ways to stand out in the crowd. It meant that I had to find ways to cut corners. And unfortunately, I didn't really find answers to this. I had to navigate this on my own. Next slide, please. Now, how many of you here, by show of hands, know what an on-screen keyboard is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, on-screen keyboard is a digital version of your keyboard. The only difference is you have to use your mouse to click. And unfortunately, that means that you're clicking one letter at a time. So it was very much like using my typing with my fingers. But because I lost the ability to use my hands, that's what I had to rely on. Imagine trying to write a report with an on-screen keyboard where you're having to click letter by letter, keystroke by keystroke. It takes forever. Next slide, please. And this is where I started seeing the evolution of technology coming into my life. So it wasn't just wheelchairs and power wheelchairs and buttons to open doors. It was actually the digital technology that I was using on a regular basis. So I use software called Dragon Naturally Speaking, which is a voice-to-text software that allows me to control my device with my voice. I can open and close applications, I can reply to emails, I can generate reports, I can do everything with my voice. And when we think about the evolution of technology and how quickly this happens, it made me realize that I actually have to start putting effort into understanding what is out there and how I can integrate that into my life. And it's completely revolutionized the way that I work. You know, I've been independent now for 6 months doing my own business, and I wouldn't be able to do that without the technology that is behind me. Because physically, there is no ways that I would keep up. And I don't think that any client paying money would want to wait a month for a report. That it now takes me a matter of days because of the technology I have behind me. Next slide, please. So, I've already mentioned Dragon Naturally Speaking. We now see ChatGPT here. Now, ChatGPT has somewhat of a negative reputation. And I just want to say that this has become the foundation of my work. Not to gather information for me or to find resources for me, because the data set is still behind. It's not as up to date as what it could be. However, automating and summarizing and giving me the opportunity to take all the knowledge from my brain and putting it into one place to spit out a summary that I can then take and build upon has made me so efficient with my time that I wish I had a way to calculate the amount of time that it has saved me. So a real world example of what I mean by this is, as you'll see, Simone is taking notes while people are speaking. I can't do that. So I'm continuously having to put that in my brain and keep it in my brain and then trying to spit it out onto a piece of paper when I have the opportunity to use my technology. So when I'm going around the client's office doing a stress test audit, I then have to take that information and somehow write that down. And in most cases, you forget some of the most crucial information. So what I do is I ask ChatGPT to interview me and ask me questions so that it reminds me of the things that I've forgotten to put into my reports. Now, the next icon with the M is a software called Motion. Motion allows me to plan my day so effectively that when I have a to-do list, it puts tasks in between my meetings according to the time that I've allocated to that task. And if someone uses my online booking system and they book a meeting with me, it just takes that task and moves it to another space where I have the time to do it. That means I don't have to worry about moving things around. I can just do my job, do what I love doing. The next icon is an F, which is for Firefly's AI. This is something that I wish I could apply in the real world sometimes, but it's an AI note taker that joins my meetings, takes a transcription of the whole meeting, and it allows me to summarize, it allows me to take talking points. It even creates a to-do list when I make promises to clients that I can then extract and put into my to-do list and onto my calendar to make sure that I remain a man of my word. Click, please. We also have Gemini. Now, Gemini is something that I don't use a lot of, but every now and again, it comes in handy. I'm more of a Siri and ChatGPT type of person, but it's still part of the tree that I have supporting me. Again, one more. And then we have Alexa, which is what I use to control my office. I can turn the lights on and off. I can turn my heater on or off in the office when I get cold or hot. And all of these things mean that I have that sense of independence. It means that I don't have to keep saying to my carer, please do this, please do that. The potential that we have for this technology to, as Zuckerberg said, do a lot with a little is tremendous. But we have to remember that we need the human touch on all of this. There are so many times that I'm reading content on LinkedIn and it's like, yep, ChatGPT, and you can see it. And the reason why I can see it straight away is because I've already invested 612 hours into ChatGPT. Being able to generate my own GPT. I've literally built a replica of myself, taken all the reports that I have put together, all the data sets that I have, and put it in one place so that I have a resource that is at my fingertips within seconds. This is the potential that AI has for many organizations, and I can't wait to see what it does in the FM industry. Thank you.
Thank you.